and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, over the years, I've had a ton of attorneys come through the studio, and I've heard all kinds of different things from attorneys. And I kind of met Travis at an event, and we've kind of connected. And I brought him on because he's been in the industry for some time. He runs a very successful law firm, and it's really important that you guys know having an attorney in your Rolodex is probably one of the most important things you can do. And God forbid you ever need one, you'd be better off not having to use it. But if you have to use it, having it is so important. With me is Travis Walker. Hey, Travis.
Hey, how are you doing, Wayne?
I'm great.
Good to see you.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How long are you practicing law?
14 years.
Okay. Why? Why'd you choose that?
You know, when I got involved in the community a lot, and getting involved with the community, I served on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I met some really interesting real estate attorneys, and I enjoyed the way that they worked, enjoyed the process by which they thought, and you know, I found it to be a great career for me and my family.
All right, so you go to law school.
Yep.
How do you decipher for you what area of practice you want to do?
I mean, initially I wanted to get into corporate and banking law and everything, but I initially found myself in real estate law, which a lot of that plays into divorce law and family law. And so because of the synergy that occurs there, ended up picking up into divorce and real estate law.
Okay, so, excuse me, back in Jersey, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. If you're doing a contract, you need an attorney.
Correct.
So real estate is probably the second most expensive thing that you will ever do or get in your life. Kids are the most expensive.
Sure.
Most people don't think of that.
Yep.
Why on God's green earth would you not use an attorney? I just don't get it.
No, I mean, you know, in Florida, obviously, there's some flexibility there, but I mean, having, especially with, that is the largest purchase,
right.
You know, kids aren't quite a purchase.
Oh, my God.
But if the largest purchase that you have for any type of asset is going to be a home or property. So I definitely think it's important to have an attorney involved in that process.
Without a doubt. You know, the thing that I see is that one little mistake could cost you a fortune.
Correct.
So why not do it right from the get-go? My philosophy has always been use a professional. So when you're buying or selling a home,
right.
Use a realtor. When you're having those contracts done, use an attorney. Now, my daughter wanted to go to law school, and she wanted to be an entertainment attorney.
Okay.
And I had a very good friend who was an entertainment attorney. He was actually my attorney. He has since passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Wayne, tell her to either go into family law or personal injury, because entertainment attorneys, the issue with entertainment attorneys is that it's such a closed field.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Because there are X amount,
right,
and only X amount of high-paying clients.
Correct.
So he said, now being in this industry and interviewing a lot of entertainers, especially local ones, I realize that they don't have any money.
Right.
Okay, local musicians have no money, so it's really kind of interesting.
Yes.
So, but family law will always be around.
Correct.
And when you talk about divorce,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different ways to look at divorce. I had a divorce attorney who did a show with me for 3 years.
Right.
She did 102 episodes.
Okay.
Something like 102 episodes, I think. And she was into divorce mediation.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So she tried very hard to make sure that it never went to court, and they tried to work it out.
Sure.
Okay? You know, divorce is very interesting because of children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
So, I mean, there are attorneys that are this end of the spectrum, like the attorney that was on who did mediation.
Sure.
And there are attorneys on this end of the spectrum that are sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Where do you fall?
I mean, you try and do what's in the best interest of your client. So you have a fiduciary duty, and, you know, I've tried divorce cases, but, you know, that was when the other side was completely unreasonable, and that happens. But most of the time you try and find your client to a way where it's the best deal possible, knowing the crystal ball that we have with the judge. So, I mean, that's part of what comes with the attorney package, right? You know, we've been in front of the judges. We know our local judges. We know kind of their jurisprudence, their philosophy. And so when we get in front of them, we understand what they're looking for. And when we're mediating or trying to settle a case, we can say, okay, there's a strong likelihood that this judge is going to do this, or this judge is going to do that. And therefore, where we need to be in order to settle this case, because if you take it to trial, you're likely to get something similar.
Okay, and costs you more money.
And cost you more money. Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to do is spend money on attorneys, when you're trying to fight through divorce, because you're trying to get it done and over with, right? I mean, who wants to be going through a divorce for years? How many times do you want to celebrate the anniversry of the filing of the divorce, So that's part of the process.
Does it make it much harder if you have children?
It does. I mean, with if you don't have any children, then you're talking about equitable distribution, maybe alimony, maybe attorney's fees. That's about the gist of it. But if you have children involved, then you have parenting plans and time-sharing schedules and child support. So it definitely compounds it.
I was pretty lucky. When I got divorced from my first wife, we had one child, and our divorce was very simple.
Mm.
There was child support,
Right.
and really that was really it. She got whatever, and I got whatever.
Sure.
We didn't have a lot. We were young.
Yeah.
Okay, but the philosophy was our daughter.
Sure.
Okay.
That's right.
Nothing comes before our daughter.
Yeah.
And never in all the years has she ever said, your dad's this, your dad's that. Never have I said your mom is this, your mom's that. First of all, she had a great mom.
Right.
There's no disputing.
Yeah.
And her mom, again, just passed away
Sorry.
after 30-something years. And she was very, very sick. But I find that my daughter is well-rounded because she didn't have those other things where, your dad's a deadbeat dad. Because I started this company when my daughter was a baby, so I had no money.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
child support for me, like I tell people, I was paying $264 a month. And that's like nothing.
Right, yeah.
But I was making nothing.
Sure.
I was living in a room. I started a business. I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
And my ex didn't want to take anything. She married a race car driver, so they had a lot of money.
Okay.
She didn't want to take anything because she wanted me to get this off the ground, because the thought at that time was it would go to your kid.
Sure.
My daughter doesn't need it anymore, but because she's engaged to an attorney.
No. It works.
He's a patent attorney.
Okay. That works
So
too.
it's really a lot easier. And when you think of some of the things, he's in agriculture. So when you go to Burger King and you get the Impossible Whopper, he did the patent on the Impossible Whopper.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, so they travel all over because he can work from anywhere, which
Sure.
is a blessing.
Yeah.
Okay, so your firm, what areas do you practice within the firm? Because I know it's not just you.
Right. I have 4 or 5 attorneys who work for me, and they all specialize in their different practice areas. So I do the real estate and divorce work. We have a probate and estate planning attorney. We have a business attorney. We do some governmental work. And we actually have a criminal defense attorney as well.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
How about PI?
And we have a personal injury attorney too.
Okay, you can't have a firm without a personal injury attorney. We live in Florida. I mean, give me a break.
Accidents and personal injury are a big part of it, for sure.
One of the things that pulled me to kind of trust in you was the fact that you're so community oriented.
Thank you.
Okay, and that this is where you live and this is where you want things to be perfect.
Correct.
I think that's great that you feel that way, and that clients, and I hate to say it this way, clients are not always right.
True.
Okay?
True.
And when you're dealing in real estate,
Yeah.
okay, just because I'm a broker, I was a broker for years.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks what they have is worth so much more.
Sure.
When I did real estate and went to an attorney, my hopes were, let me do what I know, and
Yep.
you do what you know.
Right.
Okay, don't negotiate for me.
Right.
Okay, or
Yeah.
for my client.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with
so
you.
If I send you contracts and they look a little wacky because it's the way I do things,
Sure.
you just need to make sure the wording is right,
Right.
and then nobody gets sued.
Nobody gets screwed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, in doing real estate, there are a number of pieces to it.
Yep.
So some of the things I did, because I was in commercial real estate, is zoning work.
Correct.
Do you do zoning work?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you're selling land, it could take years to go through zoning.
It's quite a process,
3 years it took for me to close one deal.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Okay. And what's interesting is the whole landscape can change if it takes too long.
That's true.
So when someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to buy this building, I want to make it a school, but it's not zoned.
Okay.
What are the things that you look for before you say, hey, yeah, I'm going to take you on?
Sure. I mean, there's a number of different things. It's the surrounding area, the surrounding land use, the surrounding zoning, the code, with regards to the permitted uses and prohibited uses, and just to see if it's just how much of an uphill battle it's going to be. Do you need to amend the comprehensive plan? Do you need to change the zoning? Do you need to apply for a certain use that isn't allowed? Or is allowed, but you have to go through a special process to do so. So you fully evaluate the totality of the circumstances, and then your local government, where do they stand on a lot of these issues.
And that was another thing. You're so community oriented and so connected in the government. Does that make it easier for you to do your job?
I think so. Just like we were talking about the judges and the divorce work. If you have an understanding of the decision makers and their mindset and their process, and do they tend to be more of a growth or non-growth, or what things are they looking for when they're looking through materials? I think that's a huge advantage that helps out clients.
Well, surely it makes sense. Having the foresight to know what usually happens in that situation makes it that much easier, because then you can say in a divorce case, you're asking for this, but I've been in front of a judge 52 times, and not once did that go through.
Sure.
Why would you take that chance?
Correct.
Now, not that it couldn't go through the 52nd, the 53rd time,
Yeah.
but the chances, you want to hedge your bets as best as you can.
Right.
So, I know that you have an office in Stewart,
Correct.
okay, and I know that you're building bigger offices.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. I was lucky enough to meet your family. Actually, I met your wife and your mom.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
A while back.
For sure.
When you decided that you were going to go into law, were you already married?
I was going. We got married right before I went off to law school.
Okay. Did you have support from your wife?
Yeah. Yeah.
And from your mom?
Yeah.
Because you were going off to law school. That means that there's not going to be real income coming in for some time.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes the support there is like, you know what? Did you take a second type job, or?
No, well, during law school, you're not allowed. At least the first year or two, you're not really allowed. You're not supposed to take a job, so I didn't. So
Okay.
you have to, take on loans and that type of thing to make things work. And fortunately, they're gone. So that's good.
Okay, so you go through law school. I'm gonna just guess that the next step is interning at somewhere.
Well, yeah, you do some internships, especially your second and third year. That's how they kind of transition you into the workforce, and then you get an entry level position. Out of law school.
And then you decide, hey, you know what? I got this. I can do my own firm.
Sure.
So it was just you?
No, yes. 4 or 5 years into practicing, and realized, I had some of the tools and skills I needed to build. And the firm that I was with had an office down in Boca, and then a satellite office up in Port St. Lucie. And decisions were being made about whether that's going to stay around. And Boca's Boca. It's a different way of doing stuff down there.
Oh, yeah.
Than it is up here in the Treasure Coast. And so I wanted to build my own firm that more had a Treasure Coast feel to it. So that was a lot of the catalyst for that process.
So you basically took over that office.
Well, I didn't take over that office, but I just completely diverted off and just
Okay.
started my own thing. But with the culture and the idea of serving clients in the Treasure Coast and having staff from the Treasure Coast.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, because we had studios in Lauderdale, in Boca, and here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Broward County, Palm Beach County, and St. Lucie County, very, very different county.
Very different.
Broward and Palm Beach are a little similar in doing business.
Correct.
But you come to the Treasure Coast, man, is it a whirlwind and an eye-opener.
Yep.
For me.
For sure.
After my heart attack and I made a decision of what I was going to do,
Mm-hmm.
it was, all right, I'm going to close those two offices, Broward and Palm Beach, and stay here
Right.
and deal with whatever was here. But I at least had a feel, like you said, for the Treasure Coast by then.
For sure.
Because I was already up here 6 years.
Yeah.
So what I find up here is, it's really, and I hate to say it this way, but you need to network, you need to meet people.
Yep.
Okay? Because it's so much smaller.
Right.
Down in Palm Beach and Broward County, up here, everybody knows you after a while.
Right.
Down there, there's new people meeting you every day in this
Cycling,
transition.
yeah.
Yep, constantly.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the future for Travis R. Walker Law?
We're moving into the new office building in Stewart. We're looking to expand that and really provide more value and more services to our clients. And so we're adding some great attorneys. We have another new attorney starting in January. She's going to be doing focusing on the probate estate planning. We have a great personal injury department doing the plaintiff's personal injury accident law. So there's a number of different things that we're expanding into and different ways to serve more and more of our clients.
Okay, so I will tell you this: you have Brianna.
I do.
She's a sweetheart.
Yes.
And she's really on top of everything you do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, no, she's good. She's definitely good.
Yeah, she's excellent. And dealing with her, because I deal with her almost more than I deal with you.
Right.
And I finally met her last week.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I came in.
That's right.
And who was the other young lady that was there? I think she was blonde.
Jada.
Blonde?
Blonde.
Was she blonde? I don't know. I'm old. I don't remember anything.
I have to think about it.
I'm ready to do my wills and stuff.
Oh, no.
Because I'm getting calls now and emails like, all right, you have to be prepared to start filling out for Medicare.
Oh, boy.
Because I'm going to be 65.
Oh, my gosh. Congrats.
Thank you. So I'm like, really? How'd that come about? And, we always look to what our parents were at our age.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like 25 here.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
The body might be 85.
No, hopefully
but
not.
my mind is like 25.
Yeah.
Our parents were old when they were our age.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And we are still running and going. I will probably die in my office. I'm not looking to retire anytime soon. I have a bus job and I deal with some great people.
Right.
Okay. Somebody wants to buy a piece of real estate. Is it the realtors that bring you the business, or is it the
I think
client?
it's a combination of both. I mean, it's sometimes it's and especially from a commercial perspective,
Right.
They really want to have somebody, an attorney to look over the contract. So often sometimes it's the brokers, but I take the and I understand a lot of brokers sometimes don't want to get the attorneys involved because they're afraid they're going to bust up the deal, right? But I take the position of we're not looking to bust up the deal. We're just looking to cover everybody and make sure they're protected.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and then so that it comes from the client, most of the time.
I do commercial real estate, and I will not let a client not use an attorney.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I won't make a deal. If they're not going to use an attorney, I don't want to even be part of the deal. Because it puts them at risk, but it puts the realtor at risk too.
Sure it does.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen in an investment property, okay, where the attorney went over the contract. Everything was, I bought the buyer, and they did a home inspection. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
And then the winter came.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the wind was blowing through all the windows, leaks in the roof,
Oh boy.
all kinds of issues.
Right.
So the realtor, the listing agent got sued.
Gotcha. Wow.
The inspection company got sued.
Yeah.
And, and the seller got sued.
Right.
We didn't get touched because we had an attorney and they did everything the way it was supposed to be done.
Gotcha.
You can't, if the home inspection says that the property is good, that's what we go on.
Right.
And that's what you have to make sure as an attorney is put in the contract that they're protected.
That's right.
Times are different today in the housing market
Sure.
because people are buying with no home inspection,
Right.
okay? No contingencies anymore.
Right.
Does that open up for more lawsuits?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I'm handling a number of lawsuits right now. We call them Johnson versus Davis lawsuits, but basically, there are sellers who aren't completely forthcoming as to what's going on with the home.
Really? I
And
wouldn't
then,
believe.
you imagine that.
People are okay.
and they're not disclosing defects that wouldn't be apparent to somebody without doing crazy inspections. Or they call them latent defects. But then that opens them up, the seller, and then potentially the broker, to litigation later on when the buyer comes back and says that it's leaking, it's got mold, it's got issues here and there and everything, and then involved in a couple lawsuits like that right now.
We're at the top of time. I have to ask you one more question.
Sure.
What about landlord-tenant stuff? Do you do that?
Yep, we definitely do that. I mean, we handle the eviction process. There are tenants that sometimes we represent. But, another thing we represent is, people who bought properties together, like a boyfriend and girlfriend or unmarried couples. And this is, again, why it ties in the divorce and the real estate tie into each other, because if you own a piece of real estate and you go through a divorce, you have to partition and sell the property. But what we're seeing a lot more is, especially the younger generation, is they're getting involved with properties together, boyfriend and girlfriend, but then they break up, or one wants to do something else with the property, or it's an investment piece, and the partners want to do something different, but they can't agree on how to do it. And so we do those partition actions as well in real estate litigation.
Is it different if they were married and they didn't want to do the same things?
It's not. It's a little bit different because the law is different with regards to marital interests in the property and when it started and when it didn't start. So it is different. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. How do people find you? You have a website?
Yep. TravisWalkerLaw.com, or you can email me at TravisWalker@TravisWalkerLaw.com.
And you have a phone number?
And its phone number is 772-708-0952.
Travis, first of all, I got to congratulate you on being able to deal on the Treasure Coast for as long as you have. Just saying, and I love the Treasure Coast, but it's a tough place to deal. I got to tell you, it's a tough. But there's some great people here.
Yeah, great people.
Okay.
Absolutely. Beautiful
And
place, great people.
I chose this over Broward or Palm Beach County, where I made much more money.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But this is where I chose to live
Mhm.
because I think it's just better.
Quality of life.
It's better quality of life.
Yep.
Getting a little heavy on the traffic there, people. So you got to watch yourselves there.
Right.
But I want to thank you for the other community stuff that you do.
Thank you.
And how you look at this community as your own.
Sure. No.
With that, everybody, always use a professional. All right? It's very, very important. And check out Travis. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Wayne.